Hello, everyone, and welcome to Data Leadership World Summit 1.0. A very warm welcome to our global community joining us from different parts of the world. We are delightful to see such an incredible gathering of industry leaders, data professionals, and innovators with us today, along with distinguished speakers joining us from different parts of the world, bringing with them global perspectives, deep expertise, and valuable insights. At the same time, it is a pleasure to welcome our global audience who thrives in data and technology field. Today is extra special. We are celebrating first birthday of Uttar Pradesh Power BI Club community, knowledge, leadership, AI, and welcoming the new year together. What started as a small initiative has now become a global data leadership movement across countries, roles, and industries. Tonight, you'll experience power packed 30-minute speaking sessions and polls, prize, and surprises, networking breaks, and yes, giveaways you don't want to miss. This is a team town hall as so raise your hands for mic video access. Please use QA session for questions and chat, reaction and polls. Networking and resume review will be conducted during the break via shared links. Bonus session and quiz will be conducted in the breakout during the second half of the evening via shared links. Now let's start summit with first session with a deep dive followed by reactions and polls. Please welcome Rafaela Panizan joining us from the Italy for this session, Critical Thinking in the Age of AI, Why We Should Not Let Machines Think on Our Behalf.
Can everybody hear me now? Please give me a sign. Hello?
Hello.
Okay, sorry about this, but I
Yeah,
couldn't.
you are audible.
Okay, good. So let me start by sharing my presentation. Again, so sorry about this. As Naila announced, I'm going to talk about critical skills in the age of AI. My name is Raffaella Panizzon. I am an applied linguist. I have an interest in linguistics, in particular NLP and NLU, and in AI governance. And I had the honor to be a TEDx speaker at Vicenza in 2022. The agenda will look at the architects of AI, and then we'll be looking into societal, ethical, and cognitive issues and why critical thinking can help us in tackling these issues. I'll also show a couple of concrete examples and finally what AI might look like in the future, and then my conclusions. So it is not a surprise that Time magazine elected the architects of AI as Person of the Year in 2025. These are men and women who have incredible influence over technology, society, and the world in a geopolitical sense as well. The tools that we have now have a societal, ethical, and a number of cognitive issues that we can see in our everyday lives. So, for example, there's a concentration of power, as I've mentioned. So, a small group of individuals and corporations control the majority of the tools available, but they also control the narrative around these tools. So, this narrative shifts from technophobia, so you might have heard of the existential risk of AI, to technophilia, that is, we love AI, AI will solve our problems, it will cure cancer, and so on. And often these two extremes shift in a gradient, and they are often exploited to manipulate public opinion. The other issue is that this technology is extremely fast. So the capabilities of this technology keep increasing almost on a weekly basis. And on the other hand, the regulation to put some guardrails is not just keeping up. And so the consequence is that by the time regulations are passed into law, users have already had access to the latest version of this technology, and they have access without protection, without legal protection from harm. And these technologies are also increasingly pervasive. So users are constantly expanding the context of use of these technologies. Sometimes some of its usages were not expected. So it's not now just information retrieval or text image production. It's also therapy, companionship, and LLMs are now being used in dating apps as well. So people have started asking ChatGPT, tell me what to say to this person that I've matched. And so they're becoming substitutes for human interaction. And especially non-expert users may not be aware of the consequences of delegating entire areas of their lives to LLMs. We'll see more about this later. There are also ethical issues, in particular, the systematic violation of some rights. We know that LLMs were built disregarding copyright law and that there are currently lawsuits on this. They were also trained on an unbalanced corpus, which means that languages, topics, backgrounds, views are not equally represented, and so these systems end up being biased by design. And in order to correct these biases, people from African countries are often exploited to manually correct machine-generated output, and they are exposed very often to traumatizing content just for a few dollars a day. There are then environmental and human costs for data centers, for materials to build microchips, and the news about this is often buried by hype. And finally, the safety measures in place to protect vulnerable groups, especially so children, adolescents, women, or fragile individuals, are often insufficient, or they can be easily circumvented. And so very often issues are tackled only after harm has been caused. And we're seeing this almost systematically. There are also cognitive issues relating to reasoning, decision-making skills. Some of you may be familiar with the concept of cognitive offloading, which basically is, I will let the machine think or do the deep thinking on my behalf. And it has been proven now that this causes cognitive debt, meaning that we defer mental effort in the short term. And as a result, in the long term, we lose the ability of doing critical inquiries. We are more vulnerable to manipulation. Our creativity decreases. And another cognitive aspect is that we naturally tend to anthropomorphize LLMs and all natural language mediated technology, really. And people often forget that they're interacting with a machine that is simulating language and not an actual person. Finally, these systems are sycophantic, meaning that they tend to agree with us, they flatter us, they never contradict us, even if we're wrong. And this is done by design to earn people's trust, to push them to interact with the systems for as long as possible, to extract as much personal data as possible. And this is basically the equivalent of dark patterns if you're familiar with UX design. So this is a highly manipulative technique. So what can we do? As individuals, we can try and keep our critical thinking skills sharp, especially to defend ourselves against both the risks of using these systems every day, but also in a way to manage the narrative around the systems. And there are a lot of definitions of critical thinking out there, but I've found two that I think are the most suitable in this context. So number one is that critical thinking involves the ability to question assumptions. And this is really important when we look at machine output, but also weigh evidence and make logical decisions based on an evaluation of facts and opinions. And the other definition is critical thinking is skilled, active, and I would like to emphasize active evaluation of observations, communications, information, and arguments. So this is the kind of idea about critical thinking that we should keep in mind. Very concrete way. What do we do when we're using LLMs? How can we apply critical thinking? So first of all, we should not immediately trust the text, the images, and the videos that we're presented with, even if it's in a very friendly and human-like way, or if images are real, we should always take them with a grain of salt. And collectively, because we're not alone in this, we're all in this together, we can use our collective intelligence to make sense of this and also to ask for stricter regulations, especially against deepfakes, but in general, LLMs. We should also avoid being overconfident in our abilities to tell the difference between AI generating content and real content, and we'll see an example of this in the next slide. Because we may not be aware of emerging technologies, so maybe something even more sophisticated has come out and we don't know about it. We should also be able to detach ourselves from the output of the machine and make decisions as independently as we can. So use LLMs as tools and not as replacements of human beings. And finally, we should be able to distinguish structure from story, meaning what's happening versus what are they saying to us is happening. And so I think this meme that has often appeared in my LinkedIn feed is basically my take-home message. So what appears is not what is under the hood. And this is the 40-second video that I would like to show you.
Hey bro, have you seen this video?
Dude, that's AI.
I know, it's amazing, right? You should subscribe to the creator.
Yeah. Sorry, pal, I don't subscribe to that slop.
There's no way you fell for that. That's wild.
I didn't fall for it. I said it was AI.
Not the video.
Not the video?
Dude, have you seen this video?
Getting old.
Yeah, dude. CR. Bro, you're literally young, but you should definitely subscribe to that channel.
What?
This is clearly a made-up scenario, but still, it's not entirely impossible. And most of all, again, there might be emerging technology that we may not expect. So even if I know I'm talking to people who get their hands dirty with AI every day, still overconfidence might be an issue. So critical thinking is also realizing that we may not know everything. Now we've looked at the tools, but I would also like to look at what to do with the narrative around AI and critical thinking. So we receive a lot of news, we see tweets, we see a whole lot of communications around AI. And there are a few things that we should remember. So first of all, LLMs are not just tools. They're part of a broader geopolitical scenario. So the deployment of their capabilities is timed. It's not casual. And they want to bring about business or political advantages somehow. We should also remember that all the companies involved are for profit, and they have gained significant influence in their home countries and abroad. And finally, the communications that we receive are strategic, meaning that there's a PR department that will pre-approve everything that comes out. Nothing is done by chance. So what can we do again? We can try and tackle these narratives by asking a number of simple questions. One is, who's creating the message? And then, do they have some goal, some agenda? And why are they talking about this topic now, specifically? And how does this connect to previous communications or actions? So what's the context in which this communication takes place? Because all communication takes place within a context. So I have found this tweet from Sam Altman. I have nothing against Sam Altman specifically. I just find this tweet to be very suitable as an example. So, so who is tweeting? That's the CEO of OpenAI. His agenda as a CEO is that of promoting his company, perhaps even testing the market with his communications, and of course, generate revenue. And he opens this tweet with an initial statement to create trust. So he says, we made ChatGPT pretty restrictive to make sure we were being careful with mental health issues. So he's trying to reassure people that they care about users, that they care about their mental health specifically. This tweet is from October, and the context in which it has been published is that of a number of lawsuits and incidents occurred after the suicide of a number of teenagers in the US last summer. So this is why he's tweeting this. This is why he's starting his tweet like this. But then he introduces an issue. So we realized this made it less useful and enjoyable to many users. So what we can infer is that to protect a minority, we lost perhaps engagement, revenue, maybe shareholders are upset. So we want to change this. And so that is why we have relaxed restrictions, because we have put guardrails in place, which they did. But still, they really want to take a certain direction that we will see in this second and third part of the suite. So I want to focus on this and go back to sycophancy and anthropomorphization. So they want ChatGPT to talk to you as a friend if you want to. They want it to respond in a very human-like way. And he also mentions 4.0, which to this date is the most sycophantic version of ChatGPT that we have. So they're shifting towards AI companionship. That might be a new potential market. And I'll go back to the concept of market later. They want people to be as addicted to this tool as possible. And then he also introduces market number 2, so the ability to generate pornography, basically. And this, both statements are in contrast with the beginning of this tweet, where they say we care about people's mental health, but sycophancy goes against that. And also the creation of pornography has repercussions on people's mental health, and it targets mostly women. So it damages a part of users, that is a large part of users. So what's the broader context? So number one, as I said, OpenAI is facing bad publicity and lawsuits, and also it needs money. OpenAI needs a lot of money now because they are trying to build infrastructure and they need $1 trillion every year. That's why I was talking about markets. They need new markets to generate new revenue. And so I'm not saying that every time we read a tweet we have to do all of this, but this is the kind of idea that we should have when we read communications. So just take some distance from them and try to understand where this is going. While I was researching for this presentation, I also came into this, which is Project Vend, and that might give us an idea of a new market again. So, and this is, I think, a trend. So these companies are trying to open up new markets, and I just found this experiment quite interesting. So basically they asked Claude to run a small vending machine business. It used real money, it had access to logistics, and well, the experiment didn't go very well because it ended up losing money. It started hallucinating really badly, but that's not the interesting point. The interesting point is what Anthropic states, which is we're experimenting on the plausible, strange, not too distant future in which AI models are autonomously running things in the real economy. So they want to try and embed the systems into our reality, into the economy as much as possible. So we should be aware of this. So that's why I thought it was interesting to look into this. And so my concluding remarks are the following. We shouldn't let machines think on our behalf because of the societal, ethical, and cognitive issues that come with their design and their usage. We need to keep our critical thinking skills sharp, because this is one of the ways in which we can navigate the tools that we have, but also the information overload and the narrative that comes with the world of tech. And every user counts. So the way you choose how to use these tools can really shape the future of technologies. As you know, adoption is one of the main drivers of any technology. If people refuse to adopt something, then that something will either be discarded or changed. So your voice really matters. Question the narrative. So always ask yourself, why are they saying this to me now? What's the strategy? And finally, be vocal about the risks and issues around technology, since I believe most of you work with technology every day. So push for legislation protecting people from harm and exploitation. Thank you. These are my references. And feel free to contact me on LinkedIn. But I don't know if I think we have 5 minutes for questions if anybody is curious about this.
Thank you, Rafaela. Truly thought-provoking.
Thank you. Well, I don't see any questions. Naila, please correct me if I'm wrong. But in that case, I can leave the floor to the next speaker.
Okay, first of all, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate this insightful talk. We are open to questions to public. If you have any question, you can raise your hand and I will give you the assist mic. If you have any questions, you can raise your hand. Okay, Anjali. Good evening, ma'am. I am Anjali and I want to ask that how we should implement this idea in our journey.
Can you tell me what you mean by our journey?
Ma'am, in our daily basis life.
Yeah, so most of us, or perhaps even all of us, can use LLMs and are using LLMs. So the strategies that I proposed was not to avoid using these tools because they're now everywhere and they are very good for productivity. But every time you, for example, prompt an LLM and the LLM gives you an output, you should at least be skeptical about the quality of that output. And just not take everything for granted. We know the systems hallucinate. We know they even make up references sometimes. And so that's how you use it in your everyday life. You just don't take everything for granted. You do not delegate the machine to think on your behalf. And you avoid, most of all, to allow it to make decisions on your behalf. So it should be used as assistive technology, but it should not replace you in your abilities to judge something, to decide on something. Does that make sense? Is that what you meant with your question?
Okay, do we have any questions? If you have, you can raise your hand. Otherwise, we are good to go. Okay, Vinta? Yeah, yeah, ask.
I think they might be having an issue with their microphones, perhaps.
Good morning, good afternoon, ma'am. Swati this side. Ma'am, here is the question. Why is it important that humans do not completely rely on machine to think on their behalf?
I'm sorry, you were breaking up a bit, so let me see if I understand your question correctly. Are you asking me? Yeah, thank you.
Why is it important that humans do not completely rely on machine to think on their behalf?
Well, it is important because, as we saw, we lose some of our cognitive abilities, basically. So there are studies now that show an impact on our brains, even in the case of expert practitioners. So we're talking about, for example, there was a study on radiologists that started relying so much on LLMs that they lost part of their professional abilities. So the problem is that, or the question is that our brain is like a muscle. So the more you train it to do something, the more it will do it and the better it will do it. But at the same time, if you stop thinking, especially doing that sort of deep thinking, your brain will just go in a sort of energy saving mode. And in the long term, you will lose some of those abilities. That's one thing. So it is really important to keep our brains working. And the second is, as we saw, some of these machines are highly manipulative. So there's a narrative around them that is going to push you to behave in a way without your consent. So it is also very important to understand what the machine is doing and why it's doing it, because they are, steering you towards a direction that you may not want to accept. But it's very subtle. So none of us probably wants to be manipulated. And also, I would say that the kind of discourse that sometimes we hear can also cause a lot of anxiety, especially, this idea of existential risks, the way some people talk about AI, it might be overly pessimistic. There are people who really live in fear of AI, but also overly optimistic. And so perhaps, they think AI has capabilities that it actually doesn't have. And so that's why critical thinking helps us in orienting ourselves in all of this context.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, one more question. Ma'am, what mistakes do beginners commonly make in AI learning?
I'm sorry, what mistakes? Can you repeat your question, please?
What mistakes, ma'am, I'm repeating. What mistakes do beginners commonly make in AI learning?
Oh, so when you say AI learning, you mean people starting to use LLMs for the first time, or do you mean AI in an educational setting?
Ma'am, in AI in everything.
Okay. So I wouldn't frame any of this as a mistake. I would say that it's more about awareness. So especially non-expert users will tend not to see the things that we have seen together, so not to see the structure of this. So, but it's technically, it's not really a mistake, but it's, again, the fact that the way they describe the systems to us is not how they actually behave. So I wouldn't blame people who use LLMs for not seeing these things, because, if you're not working in tech, none of what I've said is obvious, or very little probably. So I think that any course dealing with LLMs and AI in general should also have a section where they actually explain to users how the systems work, even if you're not, but a technical person, but anyone who is approaching AI should be aware of this for their children too, because kids are using LLMs as well to do their homework. And as we saw, there aren't very many protections. So, well, yeah, awareness is really key in this sense.
Ma'am, I want to ask something. Can I?
Hello, yeah.
Ma'am, I want to know how can I convert a simple AI idea into a real world solution?
Can
Like
you
a
repeat your question? I'm so sorry. I have audio issues today.
Okay, no problem. So I want to know how can I convert a simple idea, like simple AI based idea into a real world solution, or like having projects, etc. in those domains. If I want to add AI, how can I implement that as well?
So I wouldn't say there's a simple solution. And critical thinking is just one part of the story. Of course, I could only focus on one thing because of time restrictions. I think as a community, especially a practitioner, because I suppose all of us work in tech in one way or another. We should have a way of integrating critical thinking into what we do, but we also have a responsibility to communicate it on the outside. So, for example, if somebody's working as a data analyst, they can take into consideration the number of ethical aspects that I was mentioning earlier. So you don't have to do anything specifically, but somehow all of this needs to become part of our mindset. and of the mindset of leadership, of course, which is a bit more difficult. But if you're working with data, just be very mindful of where the data comes from, how it's been handled, and if you have a platform, talk about it. Communicate to people the problems that you're facing, and how people can use resources to improve their interactions with AI. I mean, this is a group that works mostly on data analysis, and I think you have a great role and great position in understanding where the data is coming from and how it works. So seeing things from behind, basically. So yeah, the idea is to change somehow your mindset if you're not already thinking in terms of ethics and sourcing data and the effect on people.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, one more question. What are the limitations of AI in different sectors?
Sorry,
Ma'am,
can you?
what are the limitations of AI?
Oh, the limitations of AI.
Yes.
Can you give me a context? Because this is a very, very broad question. Like in which sector? Is it in education? Is it in, I don't know, data analysis?
society.
So, on
For
society.
society.
The limitations of AI. So the limitations of AI are connected I imagine you mean LLMs when you say AI, because AI is also robotics, computer vision, and so on. So if we stay on LLMs and image generation, I think that now the limits are not specifically technical. They do damage society somehow because of the things that we just saw. So they can give you the impression of being, like people when they aren't. So I don't know if we're in a context where we can think of AI as something limited, even perhaps, because it can do so many things that it's more like we were in a context of risk until the end of 2022. Now we're in a context of consequences because it's already happening. So it's about consequences on society. And one of the ways in which we should avoid them now is through AI governance within companies, regulations. So, for example, the European Union is working a lot on regulations with, well, more or less successful outcomes. I am not up to speed with what is happening in India in terms of regulations, but we need to put really serious guardrails on AI. So it doesn't really have much of a technical limit. We need to set boundaries to make sure it doesn't harm people.
Ma'am, it is
Thank you.
beneficial or dangerous for future?
Yes, if it's unregulated, it definitely, yes. But on a number of levels, so it becomes physically dangerous when it can change people's behavior. So when it pushes people to do things that could potentially harm them, so especially minors, young people doing extreme things because LLMs taught them to, harm themselves. Dangers are also, indirect. So as I mentioned, there are workers in Africa who are being exploited to edit machine-generated content. So the dangers are in terms of human rights, in terms of individuals, in terms of groups, women who were already harmed before through social media, now will still probably be harmed by use of LLMs, especially if this push towards pornography is actually applied, because OpenAI then backpedaled about this. But I think it's just a matter of time before something happens, and there are already apps that create deep fakes of women. So I would say everybody is in danger in different ways, in more than one way at the same time. And again, that's why we need regulation. We cannot just, as individuals, we cannot prevent this. We can only opt out of technology, but that is also not always possible. But we should be loud about this. We should speak up about this. So if you have a platform and you want to talk about this, please do.
Actually, ma'am, there is a question that AI is more dangerous or more useful.
Oh, so I I would disagree with that. First of all, because it's not AI that is useful or dangerous, but because this kind of statement shifts responsibility from the people, the human beings who created this, who designed it, who deploy it. So it is their responsibility. So it's not AI that is inherently good or bad. The responsibility is on, as usual, is so on the people. So AI is a tool, and if we wanted to, we could switch it off tomorrow and it would just go away. So there's nothing inevitable. So whether it has positive or negative effects on us depends on the people who are in charge, who make the decisions. And that is why, again, that is why regulation is really important, because these companies, as we saw in the example from Sam Altman, these companies don't really care about our mental health, our safety. Again, especially if you're a woman, they care even less probably. The fact that the majority of CEOs of these companies are men doesn't really help. So the responsibility is always on the leadership that decide what to do within those companies, but also within government and the whole ecosystem around these technologies. So whether AI will have a positive or negative impact will depend on how it is deployed and how well we manage to protect people.
Yes, Subhash Kumar or Krishna.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Good evening, ma'am.
Hello?
Ma'am, I'm Subhash Kumar, third year engineering student, and I'm working on a project.
Mhm.
Like when we go to the showroom, then we feel that we are being made fools. Like that parts should not be need to repair, not need to be changed. That are changed because we don't know more about that parts. And due to these satisfactions, effect of long-term company long-term means profit. Due to means for these problems, I want to create a super agentic AI that tell me the efficiency percentage of the car means major parts of the car, and to notify to the customers and the service partner that how much car part is remaining to use, and when car should go to the in the means showroom to the service. uh, to use this to create this super agentic AI, which tool and which AI I should use, and what approach should be that?
Oh, wow. That will require a very long discussion. So, in order for me to be able to answer fully to your question, I should look much deeper into your project.
Okay.
So you probably want to build definitely something that has to do with agents. And you will also need a contact with the real world, an integration with the real world, because if you want, well, what's the word, dealerships and repairs for cars, you will have to connect your system to the real world, which can be done. A lot of systems are, but if you could, send me a message and give me a bit more detail about this project, maybe I can look into it and give you a better answer now than I can do now, because I really need to look into it. And I might not be the perfect person to answer, but maybe I can refer you to somebody who's more qualified than I am.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, I will. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
A very good evening, ma'am. First of all, how
Hello.
are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. And you?
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, I'm doing good as well. Ma'am, this side Krishna. I'm currently enrolled in first year of the university and pursuing Bachelor of Computer Science and Technology in the field AI and artificial intelligence and machine learning itself. Ma'am, just wanted to have some insights from you, like as you are in this sector for a lot of years, so pretty much sure you have a lot of experience, and you are way sure about the insights as well. You might have heard about the research paper AI 2027, anyhow.
No, actually.
No, not an issue, not an issue, ma'am. I will just give you a brief about it. So,
Okay.
like AI 2027, like the research paper was just researched by some Harvard students and pretty much from some Stanford students. It was like predicting that AI is gonna take over, and like there are something that if you might have heard about the meta super intelligence as well, that it is creating a team itself and that will just eliminate some of the parts. You have just seen that there are a lot of competitions for building AI models like Grok, then DeepSeek, then ChatGPT, and different models. But ma'am, the main thing is that is it even needed? Like if I just mentioned, we have a strong model of GPT right now that is 5.0, and we just see that every month there is a new model going live from their side, and then in competition to that, DeepSeek, Grok, and other AI models like Gemini are bringing their models. So don't you think that there can be a like there can it can be somehow damaging to the humanity or like creating unemployment a bit more or something affecting?
So yeah, well, thank you for your question. That's giving me a lot of food for thought. Basically, the reason why they're deploying something new every week is what I was mentioning during my presentation. So these are for-profit companies. There's great competition among these companies to be ahead of the market, ahead of each other. So I don't think they're going to slow down because the stakes are so high, because so much money is involved. The amount of money that they need to actually reach super intelligence is insane. We're talking about an amount of money that could, solve all the problems of the world, and that is being spent on this idea of super intelligence. We do not know whether we're going to achieve it. And most of all, I actually shared the same doubt with you. So is it useful? Do we need super intelligence? Do we even need it?
Ma'am, don't you think,
Does it
ma'am,
matter?
don't you think is it there is a race going on right now with the models and with the countries itself, and somehow like earlier there was a race for the nuclear models, if like the nuclear weapons, and now it has became a war about AI, like who is building the better model.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes, there are absolutely risks. And the issue is not, I think, the risk itself. It's whether they want to mitigate it or not, and who's going to pay the price if that risk comes true. So yes, personally, I don't think that we're spending money in the best way if we're looking at, the interests of the people. But I don't think these companies are going to stop. I do think that they are very aware of what they're doing and what the consequences are, but they may not care enough to mitigate them before these systems are being deployed. So I do agree with you that this is a lot, and it's also stressful perhaps to keep up with all these things.
Ma'am, could it be like, just wanted to just reframe the question itself, like another question in that. Ma'am, could it be like if there are two countries and maybe somehow just two people deciding something, and do you think like personally yourself that if you are taking opinion from a AI itself, so it could just affect you or it could just change your decision towards something? And like, can it happen with the presidents or some large authorities as well that they are believing onto AI or for their decisive season? Like they are just losing all of their thinking and they are just being dependent onto AI.
Yes, that is a very concrete risk. I do think this may happen. And at some level, it is already happening, unfortunately. Um, then there's a difference between, decision making for individuals and at the level of a government, of a country. So, yes, but we are seeing that countries actually rely on consultants, for example, for their analysis. And I don't know if you've heard about the scandal of a consulting agency that basically wrote their report. I think it was Deloitte that wrote its report
Ah, yes, ma'am.
with
I have heard about it.
AI.
Yes, ma'am. I have heard about it.
Yes. So they consulted with that they were the consultants for the Australian government. And they used ChatGPT to write that report. So you're absolutely right. This is already happening and it is absolutely a risk, but because of how much we rely on the systems because they're quick, because again, cognitive offloading. So we don't have to do all of the effort of thinking and putting together information. These reports are very complex. So of course if you have a tool that does it on your behalf, then you want to do it. The problem is that there needs to be a human in the loop. And in that case, there wasn't clearly, because if a human had just taken the time to read and check the report, it would have still been faster than writing it by hand. But at least, it would have probably had a higher quality. So let's say AI's lab is already having an impact on governments at that level of the level of decision making. And again, that is why we need perhaps new processes, new ways of checking. We need to make sure that we know what is AI generated and what is not. And this is true for text and images. So, for example, you may have heard of watermarks added to images to make sure that we know if something is a deep fake or not. So there's a lot of work to do, and I believe we are still in the infancy of
Ma'am,
AI.
would there be any limitations for that? Like if there like at what point does this AI become responsible at a or like responsible AI become a competitive disadvantage? Is there any point or limit, something like that?
Yes, so a responsible AI should be embedded in risk management at all levels. So within companies, within governments. However, the responsibility of what happens is never on the tool. It's on the people. So, and it is really important that we remember this because the narrative that we hear, AI might do this and that. No, it's the people who control it that have the responsibility of what AI can and cannot do. So it's as usual, the problem is with us and not with the tools. It's like saying that if I cut myself, it's because the knife is bad and not because I made a mistake. So we always have to remember that there are people controlling this and that things can be improved, but they can also get really worse. And it's all on us, not on the tool.
Ma'am, winding up with the last question of
Thank
the
you so much,
day
ma'am.
is that
Uh,
are
that
current AI governance frameworks strong enough to enforce boundary on how far can tech giants actually go when it comes to using user data or AI training? And and that uh, should AI system be held legally accountable for the decision in the future?
Mhm. So we again, I am afraid I'm not up to speed with the specific situation of data privacy and data management in India. I can say that in the case of the EU, we have GDPR, which was already there before LLMs came out. So data protection is absolutely necessary because one, the vast majority of users are not really aware of how much data they're actually given. They don't read terms and conditions. They just want, ChatGPT to do their homework or whatever on their behalf. So there are very few guardrails in this. Data protection needs to get stronger, and it would be really important if the market was not dominated by American or Chinese companies. But because, for example, American companies are highly deregulated. Data protection is just, I think they enforce something in California, but it's like the Wild West. And I understand I'm speaking from a European perspective, but these systems are really unregulated. So data protection needs to be embedded in our legislation. It would be great if we had a global legislation. Perhaps it's time for shifting from national systems to global systems when it comes to technologies. They're so pervasive, that are everywhere and that are in every country. This, of course, clashes with the interests of a lot of companies. So the European Union itself had to relax some of its parts of the AI Act, actually, because the United States is pressuring us. Because as the more guardrails you put, the less
Sorry to
revenue
interrupt you,
you're going
ma'am.
to have. Sorry, what?
Sorry to interrupt you, as our next speaker is also waiting, so we
Okay,
want to wrap up that.
of course. Thank you all for your
Thank you,
questions. They were.
thank you, thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.
Now, let's move to our next session, Building AI Agent with Microsoft Copilot Studio. Please welcome Frank Falvey joining us from Ireland.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay, very good. Have you got my slides? Can I share them myself? Hi everyone, my name is Frank Falvey. I'm here from Cork in Ireland. I'm a Microsoft MVP in the M365 Copilot category, and I'm here today to show you how to build AI agents in Copilot Studio. I'm just going to share my screen and get some slides up. Second. Can you see my slides there, guys?
I guess it's like fully visible. So yeah, it's visible now.
Okay. So, so this is my topic today anyway, building AI agents with Microsoft Copilot Studio. And I'm going to do a live demo as well. I'm going to build a HR agent, and I'm going to show you some of the scenarios from different stuff as we go along. So just a little bit about me. We say Frank Falvey is my name. I'm a Microsoft MVP in the M365 category, Copilot, and I'm also a Microsoft certified trainer, M365 Copilot specialist. I also host the Azure and AI show every Saturday, and I am one of the founders of Journey to the Cloud. That's a once monthly show every first Thursday. And I'm always helping people with Microsoft 365 Copilot and AI tools to give them clarity and confidence. And you can see along the bottom some of the certifications and awards I picked up along the way. Most recent one there was the AI 900. That's the fundamentals. So yeah, we'll just move on. So I normally put this slide up because there is a bit of confusion about AI when people hear, like, I'm hearing this word Gen AI and then the traditional one. So the Gen one, right, always think of generating something, right? So like it could be a Word document, it could be an image, stuff like that, text or even a video. And the traditional one then is the one that's been around for years, for machine learning and um, voice assistants and, tasks like we'd say fraud detection using machine learning. So that's the kind of difference in the two of them. So just I find people get confused with them. So Gen AI is always generating Word documents, images, and videos. So just moving on, how do AI agents work? So you start off at the prompt, right? You come up with what you want to get out of AI. So like we'll see in when we're doing the demo there afterwards, I'll be putting in some prompts and you'll see the AI will actually see what I actually put in as a prompt and what it will generate. So the prompt then could pick what model you want, right? These are the LLMs you hear people talking about. Um, so we'll see those later. And just down the bottom, then you'll see all the different tools, like all the APIs, the databases, web pages, and all the different sort of stuff that you're going to use yourself. Um, so we'll just move on. Okay, so behind all the kind of AI stuff and the AI agents, and there's some open source stuff like the semantic kernel, right? Um, it's used in the background for building these agents, multi-agent systems for enterprise and orchestration frameworks, right? So you can see there basically how you put stuff in from being ChatGPT, M365 Copilot, and you can use various plugins then into the semantic kernel, and you got your application is built in, right? So that's just a little bit of information there about the semantic kernel, right? It's a SDK software development kit. to empower developers to build, orchestrate, and deploy AI agents and multi-agent systems as well. Whether you're building simple chatbots, like I'll be building a simple one there later, and you'll see how the workflows go as well. So the next one then is AutoGen. This is another one for generating multi-agents as well. So it's basically wherever your use cases for making other agents to talk to other agents. So you can see in the bottom right-hand side there, you've got one agent talking to another agent. So you can have loads of these agents inside in inside your application. So that's those two anyway, AutoGen and the semantic kernel. They're the kind of software in the background or whatever. And these are actually open source, so it's free to actually download them and use them. Okay, so let's move on to the next one here, right? So these are different options you can use, right? So you've got Azure AI Agent Service, right? It's on Azure, right? Creating and managing all these AI agents. So some people might be comfortable just working away in Azure and building their agents there, or else you can use OpenAI assistant APIs. It's a standard API for OpenAI agent development, right? So I'm not going to read everything on the screen, so people, and you can just see there the semantic kernel and AutoGen. I just went through those ones. And down the bottom there in the middle, this is the one I'm going to be using, the demo one, right? It's the Copilot Studio. And you do have to get a license for this. So where I am here in Europe, the price of it, you have to have an office license, and then you have to buy a separate license for the Copilot Studio, which is about 240 euros for the year. So it's not that cheap. And then we've got the AI builder there on the other side. You can use Microsoft Copilot Chat to do other stuff there for you as well. So moving on. So this is kind of like how the actual an autonomous agent would work, right? So this is where you build a whole string of different tasks together, or agents, right? So one agent could be built to take in triggers, say from, we'd say, because we're talking about HR today, HR could get an email to say that John Smith is starting next week. So the HR could get that email, and it knows John Smith is starting next week, and it would trigger an email to, we'd say, the IT department to set John Smith up on the system for next week. And then the IT department would get this email automatically from the other agent, and that would set up John Smith on the thing. And when it's set up, then it could send another email then to John Smith to say, here's all your credentials and your password and all that. So all that thing can actually be automated. You don't need people to be involved in it. So that's what the autonomous part is really all about, that you don't need any human in the system unless it's something complicated that it can't do. It can flag it then. So that's kind of how the autonomous agent works. I have another slide coming up about the autonomous agent in cars, in automobiles. So this is kind of like the spectrum of agents that they have. Right, the first one is a simple one, right? They start off with a simple one. This is basically only like a retrieval agent, whereas you can just send send a message. We'd say like on ChatGPT, just say find how can I look after roses in the gardens, and it'll come back. It's just like basically um getting to summarize and basically questions and answers about stuff. And the next one then is a task-based agent. So this is the one I'm going to be doing the demo on, the task-based one. So like the task-based one is kind of automate workflows and it replaces, kind of repetitive tasks like we'd say from the HR thing, like if you're going to be asking HR questions like how many holidays am I allowed? When you start in the workplace first, different companies have different policies. Some might give 25 days holidays, some might only give 20 days holidays, and stuff like that. Like if you're out sick, what do you actually do? All these policy stuff that HR does. So we'll go through that in the demo anyway later. So the next one then is the autonomous one. That's the one I'm talking about. All the agents working together and kind of learning different processes as they go on and all this sort of stuff. And I said it operates independently. Excuse me. Operates independently without any human intervention. So that's the autonomous one. So that's the spectrum of agents. So this is a kind of a scenario of a company called Wells Fargo. They've used Copilot Studio, right, in their bank. So you can imagine all the customers that they'd have all over the world. Like in America, they have over 4,000 branches. So if somebody is kind of looking through all these documents, if they want to find a procedure, how to do something, or different different questions from customers to about their financial needs. So they found, right, that they've got the number down to 30 seconds, right? So Copilot Studio, like obviously they have agents built up to probably retrieve stuff off their databases. So instead of taking 10 minutes, it's doing it in 30 seconds. So you can imagine the amount of time it's saving and getting sifting through all this information. But 30 seconds versus 10 minutes, big savings. You can see I have a chart here that kind of shows there's the graph there to kind of show you that their searches, right? It's saving them kind of 75%, right? The amount of agents is huge, right? So it's saving them a vast amount of time searching through all these things, like when you have 4,100 branches and the retrieval agent is saving them 75%. Tis big. So you can use this in nearly every company that does kind of either financial stuff or marketing. You can just generate it for anything really, a retrieval agent. So that's a kind of scenario there about Wells Fargo. And so this is the kind of the first one on the left there is like your Copilot, like the free one that you have on the edge. And every employee should have this in the workplace. You can use it for your personal assistant, or you can use it for content like email and meetings and documents, right? So that's the free one. And then the next one then is for the agents. You have to get an extra license for this one, right? Um, so it's an AI powered system with actions, triggers, and knowledge. So you'll see there afterwards the triggers and the knowledge in the demo. Um, so it works on behalf of employees, teams, and functions, right? And it's connected to Copilot, or it can be autonomous as well. So that's kind of to explain the free one over the paid one, paid version. So the agent, right? You have to build the agents first, right? And it's tailored to your unique business process. Like I'm going to use it in the demo for the HR part of the business. And you can have it set up as a kind of self-service if you want, like using SharePoint agents or Dynamic 365 agents. You can also use third party agents. I'll show you this as we go on. There is heard a figure of maybe something like by the end of next year, we could have over 1.3 billion agents after being launched. Um, so interesting times ahead. So these are some of the examples where you can actually use the agents with either Copilot or Copilot Studio. Finance, I gave you an example of the finance with Wells Fargo. You can use it in marketing, legal. You can imagine like sifting through thousands of legal documents, and you can just use the Copilot to help you with that. And the HR one, which I'm going to do the demo in, and customer service is another big area where all these agents or chatbots are used, and sales. So that's just the kind of an overview of where these agents are being used. So this is the one I was telling you earlier about the automobile, right? So it's agentic AI, which is another word for the autonomous one, right? So you see that word around, it's basically autonomous. And so you can imagine, the problems faced, navigating through traffic, and other solutions offered, utilizing real-time decision making. So it has to be fast making decisions. So you can imagine somebody pulling across from you out on the road. It has to make decisions very fast. And some of the benefits then improve safety and efficiency in transportation, right? So AI is going to map out everything for you, and so some of the approaches, right? Data, collecting real-time data from various sensors. So you've got loads of sensors around the car, and the AI is picking all these things up. And then it's analyzing the data to understand what sort of the traffic is up ahead or whatever, and it might map a different route for you to go, right? So as I say, it's making decisions while you're driving along the road. So it has to be fast, and it's all autonomous. Execution, driving maneuvers, somebody pulls out in front of you, the AI has to be able to do it automatically without any human intervention. So that's kind of the autonomous part. So this is what it'll actually use. There's no code involved in it, right? It just uses information that you input. It you can connect Copilot through with enterprise data. So you'll have to have a license for Copilot Studio to build these agents as well. So this is kind of like when you're building, publishing the agents, right? There's one thing like I heard somebody there recently, like if you have all these different departments like HR, sales, and whatever, it's you'll have to get somebody in each department to learn how to use the Copilot Studio. You can't just have one person in your whole company running all these agents for all the departments because you get burnout. So you need to divide it up into each department. Each department needs to be able to run their own agents, otherwise they'll be getting burnout, you know. So they're all different sort of the way they're integrated with Azure AI Studio, Azure Cognitive Services, Azure Bot Framework, and all the different models, you know, I'll show you those models when we move on. But a big part of it anyway, governance and control, like you need to really, the last speaker was talking about the guardrails. You need to put kind of strict rules inside who can use these, who can be access to them, or all this kind of stuff. So you need good governance and control in this with these agents. So how to get started? You need to first look for a part of the business that you want to align some of these agents to, and pinpoint the main processes that you want to address, like the HR agent there. Now, probably hear me going on and on about that one, but that's because I'm doing the demo on it, right? You need to see if you're going to get value from the project, you know what I mean? There's no point spinning it up and putting people at it and not getting any return of your investment. Or you hear people talking about ROI, right? To return, you need, you know, early success in these things, right? And you still need to continuously refine your agent, right? You don't just fire up your agent and just put it out there and not update anything. You know, you need to keep updating these agents as well. Some of the scenarios there at the bottom, you can use them for technical troubleshooting, get instant frequently asked questions. I won't read them all now, but it's self-service training. So these are some of the scenarios you can actually use these in. And there's a great website where you can get all the information on these things. I can put it in the chat there later on. It's called adoption.microsoft.com. And it's got all some of these slides. I think this one is not actually on it yet. And they're all free, and they've got PowerPoint presentations. It's got scenarios and stuff like that. So I'll show you this thing as we go on. So these are the kind of different options. So you can see, I won't go through all of it now because it's too much on the screen, but you can see the kind of price of it there. So it gives you the cost, right? Once-off cost. You could go for the Azure, right? And you could use, this is the cost now of consumption, right? So obviously every time you put in something into these agents, it's going to cost you. So how many, you know, how many questions a day do you want to ask these agents. So you could go in there and pay for once-off costs, if you have an Azure subscription, and it could cost you 200 a month. So it's really, look into your costs before you kind of fire up these agents and see how much it's going to cost you. So you can see over there the Copilot Studio one, right? Um, and I have it there for the HR one. So like it's 165 per month for one of these agents, right? That's if you're looking for 25,000 messages, you can see there on the on that one. So it can be quite expensive, but so you'd weigh up the cost if you have one person go and answer 25,000 different messages. It take a person a long time to do it. So definitely there's a lot of planning to do before you set up some of these things, right? With that one, you can have up to 4 SharePoint sites, up to 4 public websites. Um, yeah, so there's a lot of information in this slide, wherever. So if anybody is looking for any more information on these slides, reach out to me later and I can share them. So there is this website called aka.microsoft try Copilot Studio. So there is a free version. They give you a free month to try out Copilot Studio, and there is a lot of different websites out there. So if you go onto any one of the aka.ms/Copilot Studio, there's a lot of stuff on there, and there's some stuff Microsoft learned as well. Um, so that's just a few of them. So I'm just going to move on to the demo, and
Sir, here, good afternoon, sir. Swati this side. Sir, here is the question. How do multiple AI agents coordinate in a real time in a driverless car? And how can their cost be optimized versus a single model?
so I'll just find the slide. How do they? So can you see this slide here? So this is the actual, these are all separate agents. And so one of the agents is, can you see this agent here, the orchestration one? So this agent orchestrates all the other agents, right, with all the complex tasks, right? And it sends out messages to the other agents. Like, so for in an autonomous car, if a sensor in front detects somebody walking in front of the car, it automatically sends a signal to the agent that controls the brakes to put on the brakes. So it's not very complex. Like, does that answer the question, do you think?
I guess it's not fully visible. It's like showing all of your screen.
You can't see my screen.
Yeah, the complete screen with all these tabs.
Um, so this is the one I want. Can you see this? 1 second now. This one. Can you see the screen now?
This way it's not visible. I guess you need to share the tab which you want to share directly from the share button.
1 second now.
Just I can help you out with this. Just a quick thing. If it's a Microsoft Word document, you can switch this document
Yeah,
to
no,
print
I
instant.
yeah, one
So
second
I'm
now.
just saying either choose the web layout or I would suggest the one that we can. It has one more layout for that. You can switch to that
One,
layout for the print
one,
one.
1 second now. Um, so I just want to open something else there. 1 second now. Um, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see the screen, but the content is again not visible properly. It's working now.
Okay. So this is where all my agents, I have these agents already built in Copilot Studio. Okay, and there's some that Microsoft has already researcher and analyst. These are ones that are here already. Some of the other ones I have built myself. But what we want to do now is click on New Agent. And it'll load this up. So you can see up in the top here, Copilot Studio and Describe. So what basically, as I said, there's no code involved here, right? So you just write in the prompts. So I'm going to call it HR agent. And I'm going to give it 2 because I already have one already built. So describe your agent, right? So it's a HR agent. Basically, it should detect what your agent, right, HR agent to give employees. Okay, so it's basically to give employees help. Okay, so down here we can I'm just going to hit on copy this out first, and I'm going to go up here and we're going to describe what we actually want, right? So they've got templates here, right, as well, so you can pick the templates. But what I want to do down here, I want a HR. So this part here is where you put in the prompt, okay? So if I just click on here and I'm telling it I want a HR agent, so Copilot is going to come back to me. Great, you want to create a HR agent. This agent can help employees with HR related questions, exactly what I want, and provide benefits and whatever. So next it says, let's choose a name for your HR. So it's saying it suggests HR assistant. Okay, so I'm going to copy that and I'm going to put it in down here. So it is going to, you'll see on the right hand side then once I hit enter, it will change the HR agent to HR assistant, and we'll put number 2 in there because I've done that previously. So now it's going to see over on the right hand side, it changed my HR.
Sorry to interrupt you, sir.
Yeah.
As our next speaker is waiting, so we have to wrap up this.
Okay, very good. I already actually made one of these, right? So if you put in the prompt, now it's saying, now let's refine your agent. Could you describe the main task? Okay, so it'll help you along the way to make these. And I'm just going to go back here to all my agents, and I already have.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable insights.
Okay. And there is the HR assistant and all the benefits. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Sorry, the demo, I couldn't go through it too fast.
Thank you so much, sir.
Stop sharing my screen. Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Please welcome Debbie, joining us from Nigeria for the session Breaking Barriers: How Women and Inclusive Environment Are Revolutionizing Tech.
Hello. 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 Can you hear me? Hello, Shreya. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So I want to share my screen first to confirm if actually it's working. So I'd love to share my screen. So am I with? Okay, so it's loading. Is everyone has the team gotten the screen? Has everyone gotten the screen? Hello?
Yeah, it's not completely visible to us. Maybe it's in vertical instead of
Sorry?
showing us the vertical layout.
Okay, so can you see my screen now? Can you see the screen now?
Yeah, it's visible, but the
Okay.
text is not.
Okay, it's not yet time to start, right? Or I can start. Hello? Shreya?
Yes, you can start.
Okay.
Ma'am,
All
you can
right.
start.
So hello everyone. I'm so excited. I'm happy. I'm thrilled to be speaking to the Uttar Pradesh Power BI Club and to amazing people from all over the world. Okay, so my topic will be on breaking barriers, how women are revolutionizing tech in inclusive environments. So my name is Olufunke Deborah Fashipe. Sorry. And for those of you not just meeting me for the first time, I'm an international speaker. I'm a software engineer, data analyst, a data science. I'm a strong advocate for women empowerment and women advocacy in STEM. I'm a nominee for the Women in Tech Global Community Awards this year. I'm also a member of International Association of Engineers. So I'm so happy today to be talking to women from all over the world, and especially Indian women. You know, Indian women are some of the most powerful and beautiful women in the world. So today I'm so amazed and happy to be speaking to you on something very important and revolutionizing. So for my agenda, I'll be talking about, I'll be explaining the term barrier. I'll be exploring the state of women in tech and how they are revolutionizing technology. I'll be discussing the power of inclusive and diverse teams. I'll also be giving you some call to actions and key takeaways that you can take away from this amazing discussion. So hello, everyone. As I said earlier, I'm so excited to be speaking today to this amazing audience and on this revolutionary topic. I love India. India is a beautiful country with amazing culture and less of what the media portrays about India. It has 22 official language and 1,600 dialects, something similar to my home country in Nigeria. Inclusivity should be a non-negotiable in a diverse community like India and in Nigeria too. Also, there's this fun fact about me. So most people say I look Indian, probably when I wear Indian wigs. And sometimes some people say I look a bit East African, but I mean, it's just so cool and funny. Now, with women driving innovation and bringing diverse perspectives, how can we unlock the full potential of tech by bridging this gap? Now, let's explore how women in inclusive environments are changing the game. So, I'm so excited to talk about creating a more inclusive tech industry. For starters, what is barrier? We all come across this word. We use it every day in our everyday life. I'm facing a barrier, I have a barrier. Now, in this term, what's the barrier? A barrier is an obstacle or challenge that blocks your progress or access, something that blocks you from getting to the next level or step. Now, in the context of women in tech, barriers can be structural, cultural, or personal. For example, I want to walk down the street to get something from a tuck shop or a corner shop, and then I just have a truck parked on the road. I'm not able to cross to get from the tuck shop. That truck becomes a barrier. Or for example, let's use the data. We're all like Power BI club, right? So let's use data analysis. For example, I get the data and I need to get information, extract information from the data, but I don't know how to clean the data. I don't know how to manipulate the data. I don't even know data visualizations. I don't know how to use the data analysis tools. What happens? That becomes a barrier for me to analyze data. So that's the same for barriers for women in tech. Now, as I said, the barrier can be structural, it can be cultural, and it can be personal. Now, what barrier? When we have lack of representation, pay gaps, bias hiring, that's a structural barrier. For example, maybe a woman of color, or maybe a Black woman, or maybe a white woman in a particular space in tech, it's not common. You actually see lesser women in that belong to the same group, likely in that field, because people just have this group mentality. If I can't see someone of my color, my space, that means I do not belong here. And so that's why we need to take away this barrier, because the more inclusive a team is, the more results, the more efficient that team becomes. Now, cultural barrier, we have stereotypes. That's a stereotype. When you see, for example, some people say when they see a particular look of a person, they'll be like, oh, this person cannot be tech, or maybe she's not that good, she's not that intelligent. When we judge people based on stereotypes, we also have workplace discrimination, where we have things like favoritism, or whatever kind of racism, tribalism, or maybe even social class discrimination, so you can fall under workplace discrimination. Now we have lack of support, so you can also be a cultural, where maybe someone is trying to thrive in tech, but maybe there's a lack of financial support, parental support, or maybe just to put in their company, the community is not supporting them. So that can actually be a barrier. Now we have personal barrier. Now this one is not something that can be affected from outside, but from a personal point of view. And this is why we have career tours, we have events like this to actually change the motive. We have self-doubt, where people self-doubt themselves, imposter syndrome. Oh, I don't think I can do this. I don't think I'm enough. I don't think I'm that. That's the self-doubt. We have limited access to mentors too. Can be a problem too. I remember when I was trying to striving tech, get into tech, I would always want to look for mentors to mentor me. But time I got into tech, my country, there were not a lot of female mentors. But then I found some few online, and I started looking for programs I could attend. And from there, I found mentors, even though they were not my direct mentors, but I could see their life and I could feel mentored by them on network. Now, essentially, anything that holds someone back from reaching their potential, it's a barrier. Now, I and some women, not just only me, other women in tech, maybe most in the audience can have actually experienced this. Now, some women I know have experienced barriers at work environments. Even in remote jobs, this doesn't exist to only going to the office, remote jobs to intending job seekers too. I've also faced barriers. Now, what are these? Even during recruitment process, people face barriers. What are the kind of barriers you can see? Unfair judgment bias. For example, in a workplace, two people have a conflict, or maybe something happens and a particular person is being judged unfairly. That can be a barrier for women in that particular space to thrive. Now we have lack of transparent recruiting process for women. Sometimes women can be more qualified or higher qualified, but then the recruitment process is not transparent. Maybe they don't want, because of the kind of job, or they feel like a woman's not going to take in the capability of the job, or maybe the pay they're putting, and they're like, oh, we do not want to. So they make the recruitment process not transparent in picking maybe even if the woman is the best candidate of all. Now we have innovative ideas dismissed. Women who have experiences, that's why some of them in boardrooms, corporate rooms are very less assertive, because most times when they're able to voice up their opinion assertive, they've been punished for it. So we find women having their innovative ideas dismissed, or even when they're going to look for funding, grants, not to welcome into their ideas. So innovative ideas dismissed can also be a barrier for women in STEM. Now, being named the term to reduce personality, assertiveness, and courage, like what I said earlier, but this is different from it. So, for example, you can be seen as too bossy. Why mean you're just being a woman, being exercising your leadership prowess. You can also be seen as too assertive, or too just something that was always too much. So whenever they tend to give women those terms, it affects some of them, and they tend to shrink their personality instead of being their best at work or whatever they do. And then that way it can serve as a barrier for women in tech. And we do not need barrier, especially in 2025. Barriers are not accepted. Now, colleagues, superiors who limit women to their appearance or specific. I know most women would have faced maybe particular hairdo, or you look and like, oh, she doesn't look like the kind of woman fit for this job, or just feel like they not need to promote her because of appearance, or even less taken seriously because maybe she's not she's dressing too feminine or something. Now, state of women in STEM or tech now. Now, women are making strides in tech. A lot of women, we see them doing a lot of things. Even in this event we just had, we had some female speakers who are amazing, who are doing very well in their fields. But then also have 10,000 of women who are still struggling in this field, who are still finding their foot place, or who have been kind of almost pushed out because of barriers. Now, women are making strides in tech, but barriers or hurdles remain like discrimination, underrepresentation, pay gaps. Here are the latest stats on progress, challenges, and opportunities of women in tech in 2025. So as a data analyst, you don't just talk. You do what? You analyze data and you provide. So these are some of the data that I could get on net. Some of the data, proven data. Now, proven analyzed data. Now, women in tech workforce, women make up to 26 to 28% of the global tech workforce, with 25% in computing jobs and 15% in engineering roles. So women make a lot of, not a lot, 26 to 28% of the global tech force is not up to half. And even at that, 25 are in computing jobs and 15 in engineering jobs. So you can see that we still have like quite a long way to go. Now, women also face leadership gap. Can also be the state of women in tech, leadership gap. Only 10.4% of Fortune 500 tech CEOs are women. And women hold 29% of tech leadership roles. You know that only 11% of Silicon Valley executives are women, or that women hold just 3% of tech leadership roles. I know some people want to argue or have this conversation is not for argument or a pity call, but it's for those who are aligned or who have actually witnessed this, or who actually, based on this research, would actually tend to be an ally if they are not women, or women who would advocate or also help to bring other women coming up in STEM. So we can actually have a more inclusive tech environment. State of women in STEM and tech. Pay gap. Female software engineers earn 7% less than male peers, and closing the pay gap could add 12 billion to the global tech economy. Education. 35% of STEM students globally are women, but only 19% of computer science graduates are women. So if you're mostly in tech, you hardly see women move to tech. Even though we are seeing increase in engineering, but we are seeing lesser in tech. And we need to address these issues. Challenges. 57% of women in tech report gender-based discrimination, 57%, more than half. And 62% experience workplace discrimination. These statistics are crazy, right? But they are not just numbers. They represent real people with talents, skills, and ideas. So what's holding us back? Despite these challenges, there are still progress, right? Women are revolutionizing tech-inclusive companies and firms. As I said, there's beauty inclusivity. We can see despite this. Hello?
Sorry to interrupt you in the between.
Sorry?
Sorry to interrupt you in the between. As the
I'm not hearing you.
next speakers are lined up, so I would like to request you to wrap up this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, what does it mean to revolutionalize? It means to disrupt the existing, change or transform something in a big way. So when you say I'm revolutionizing, you're trying to shake things up, disrupt it, bring a new perspective, challenge existing norm, drive innovation, create a more inclusive environment. Now, why are we clamoring for diverse teams? Diverse teams are more innovative and profitable. Diverse leadership at 3% more likely to outperform ones that are not diverse. Drive innovation, lead with empathy. Women leaders prioritize collaboration, boosting team performance by 25%. That does not excuse that men also do that. Championing ethics. You can see women in AI focus on responsible tech, just like our past speaker, ensuring inclusive and fair economy. Now, the power of diverse teams, breaking bias, prove it. But for us to break bias, women need to overcome. We need to overcome some things. For example, like prove it again bias. Most women here would have faced it, where women are held to higher standards, or maternal war bias, penalty for caregiving, and how women fighting this. Women are building communities. We are seeing them building tech communities. We are seeing them be more increased in awareness, focus on gender equity. We are seeing them looking for jobs that are gender equity jobs. We are seeing women adopt tech, using Gen AI, improving productivity, building a more inclusive future, prioritizing education. This is ways we can actually close this gap, promote inclusive hiring, build culture so everyone feel value, and how to make a difference. You have power to make a difference. You can mentor, sponsor, advocate for others, call out stereotypes. Now, what are the call to actions? Create a more tech inclusive industry, break barriers, shatter ceilings, build a future that is diverse, innovative, and successful. The future is in your hands. Now, what's the key takeaway today? Women remain underrepresented in leadership, including teams outperformed by 3%. Biases like prove it again must be challenged. Education and training are essential. We all have power to drive change. So thank you for listening, and I hope you learned one or two. And after this, it's anywhere you feel like you can advocate and sponsor or mentor women in tech. It's not just only for me. It will make a big impact in the tech industry and help to revolutionize it, because we need more people with different perspectives. We need diverse things in tech. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pam, for this important session. Now let's welcome Jaren Flint joining us from Germany for the session Embracing Open Innovation Turning Challenges into Growth.
Hello. Okay, so let's invite back our host, Shreya.
So now welcome Jaren Flint joining us from the Germany for the session Embracing Open Innovation, Turning Challenges into Growth.
Hello? Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Just as an exploration, am I starting now or waiting to the networking to stop?
I should set you back. But I'm the house.
Gaurav, just switch off your mic. So you can start.
Okay, so to start my presentation, yes? Okay, so I understand I need to start now, regardless to the networking session that is happening. Is this correct? Just want to make sure that I'm not talking to myself. Anyone here just can approve that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So let me share my screen. I'm sorry for the confusion. I was thinking I need to wait until the session is ended.
It's okay, sir. No issue.
So let me know when you see my screen. Okay, just give me a ping when you see my screen and I'll start.
Yes, it's perfect. Good to go.
Okay, great. So hi, everyone. What I would like to talk about today is address a topic that is not touched upon usually, which is open innovation in general, and how do corporations collaborate with the external partners and the outside world. And basically, how do you turn challenges into opportunities of growth? A little bit about myself. I've been working on innovation with multinationals like Aptiv, Continental, and Stanley Black& Decker, leading their innovation processes, done this cross cultures and cross sectors. I wrote a book about this topic, which we can address later. So a little bit about what I'm going to talk about today is the digital transformation that the world is going through, the journey towards external innovation. Why do companies fail to innovate? How do you build a framework of innovation, implementing external innovation in specific, but I will address the internal processes and how to make it count. So let's start. And let's start from the basic. What is innovation all about? Innovation is basically a strategic action or project you want to address a problem in a novel way that the organization has never done before or doesn't have the tools to do so and create an impact. And this is the most important thing. Usually, a lot of companies kind of confuse or mix innovation with invention. Innovation is all about the integration and implementation process. It's how you take an idea and execute it. And why is innovation so important? And the simple answer is you don't want to be part of this group. Each and every one of these brands kind of dominated the market they were in, thought that they can continue doing the same thing over and over without any ramifications, and were disrupted either by their own sector or a company or competitor from the outside. So when we're talking about the digital transformation that a lot of companies are going through in the world, we're talking about how products are becoming from more hardware-oriented to more software-driven. And we're talking about integrating these digital technologies across all businesses, operations, customer experience, and product development. We're implementing new technologies such as AI, IoT, and cloud computing. We're optimizing processes and enabling new business models and services. So products are basically becoming smarter, more efficient, more complex and fragmented, more personalized, and more data-driven. And eventually, since the products are becoming so data-driven, you need to have more and more computing power and data in order to manage them. And this brings me to a very powerful say that I really love of Bill Joy. No matter who you are, most of the smartest people work for someone else. And what Bill Joy is basically saying here, if products are becoming so fragmented, personalized, and data-driven, embracing external know-how is no longer optional. It's a necessity. And companies need to reach out and create these partnerships and bring this know-how from the outside world. Now, when we're talking about the innovation process in general, we can split it down to internal processes and external know-how. Internal processes is basically how do you turn your company to be more innovative, thinking how to turn and transform the culture to be more innovative. So you're basically taking what you already have and making it more innovative. And here you can talk about design thinking, testing and experimentation, rapid prototyping, optimizing existing operations, and identifying new growth engines. But once the company hits a glass ceiling and understands they cannot do everything by themselves like we addressed, then they turn to the outside world, or what we would call an open innovation. And here we're talking about market research and insights, partnerships and collaborations, technology scouting, mostly with startups, knowledge transfer, and venture clienting, which is an increasing important model within specifically Europe. Now, if we want to sum up what is basically important for a company when they reach out to the outside world to learn and understand better what's going on, it's accelerating their own business units innovation, it's tapping into the future and forging commercial partnerships with the outside world. In a very interesting market survey or market research done by BCG, they showed that more and more companies are understanding the importance of innovation. 83% of this company, and this has been increasing along the years, have ranked innovation as one of their top 3 priorities. But what is interesting, if we look at this from the other side, only 3% or less than 3% feel very comfortable or ready to onboard innovation. So think about it. Companies understand the importance of innovation, but feel very, very uncomfortable to address and work with it. And the reason is quite simple, because they don't know how, or they don't have a strategy of how to do so. And while this is happening, let's go back a little bit and talk a little bit about the evolution of companies towards innovation processes. Usually, most companies tend to go through the same cycle. They can jump ahead, but if they're not addressing this in a strategic way, they follow the same path, which is starting from an M&A process, basically saying or stating, I understand I can't do everything by myself. I want to reach to the outside world, but I still want to hold the technology within my quarters or in my house, which basically brings me to buy companies. And once they understand that they cannot purchase each and every technology that they see, or they might stifle the organization that they're buying, they move into the investment side, which is basically putting money into the company and having a small portion and understanding that they can put a foot in the door without buying the whole technology in general. They basically getting some kind of equity within the company. What happens is that they find themselves with a lot of portfolio companies they don't know what to do with. And then they start the assessment process of understanding what am I planning to do with these companies that I invested in, and how are we connecting them into the business unit. Eventually, along the process, they come to an understanding that the outside world could do things better than them, but they're still hiding behind their brand and basically using things and labeling and white labeling and licensing. And eventually, the most mature level of collaboration is a partnership where they understand that they can learn as much as they can educate the outside world. Basically, I would say the most mature level of partnerships is when you see both companies in a trade show presenting side by side where no one is hiding the logo. And if you think about it, and this is the interesting part, startups are looking at the world the other way around. They start from the partnerships, looking for a partner, trying to figure out who would be the relevant partner to align with. Then they say, if this moves along very well, you would invest. And if it's really going on well, you can buy my company. And this is, of course, the gap that needs to be bridged. So it's not surprising to see that more than 80% of startup corporate collaboration fail. And let's talk a little bit about why this is happening. So one of my favorite statements is the one of Steve Jobs. And this is kind of the essence of all innovation. If you are not able to see change as an opportunity, but as a threat, you would never be able to innovate. You have to understand that the world is changing and you to change along with it. Otherwise, you will never be innovative. When you're talking about the mentality of large organizations, basically there's the negative aspects and the positive aspects. The negative challenges are things like not invented here syndrome, where companies say, I don't need anyone else, I can do everything by myself. No real interest to work with startups and external, basically saying, I don't trust you. I just want to learn what you're doing and then doing it by myself. And of course, that trust and open communication, how to generate this in order to work together. But even when a company matures and goes through this and understands they want to work with externals, basically there's things that I call the positive elements like perception of timing, availability. We want to work with you, but let's talk in 1 year or 2 years, not understanding the cycle of startups. Gap in maturity level, naturally in a large corporation, the tendency is to buy things off the shelf as mature as possible and not working with things that are very immature. And of course, the distinction between a regular vendor. I have a lot of conversations with executives who basically say, I love working with startups, but I don't know how to work with them because they don't comply with my regulation and all the things that I need from a startup or a vendor. And basically what I told them is that if you're looking at this and you're wanting a startup to comply with all your processes, you're not looking for a startup, you're looking for another vendor. A startup needs to have some kind of buffer, a timing to work together with them in order to reach to a point of working as a vendor or applying as a vendor. And we'll address this a few slides along the way. So why do companies fail to innovate? No clear strategy, of course, when companies approach this because they saw a competition doing so, because they want to be perceived in innovation, and they don't really know what to do or what are the expected terms that they want to achieve with this. Fear of failure, basically, I don't want to even try because I'm afraid to fail. I don't want to change because I'm quite compliant with what I have, applying or sticking with the status quo. There's a tendency within large organizations to nominate someone within the organization to lead this kind of division or process, basically taking, let's say, an engineer and saying, good luck, now you're the head of innovation, congratulations. And this person really doesn't understand what he needs to do. And really, the corporation doesn't understand that this is a profession by itself. And when things go wrong, the first tendency is to change the structure over and over again without understanding that the strategy and the people are more important than the structure itself. Short-term thinking, basically, what am I getting out of it? When will I see an ROI? Not understanding that innovation takes time, not only because you're working with things that are not mature yet, but because there is an educational process along the way. For example, with many companies, you won't even see salespeople who are qualified to sell products that are SaaS oriented. And they basically know how to sell only products. So there's a lot of education going on here, and this naturally takes time. Losing the champion, it's very, very important to have someone within the organization push everything forward. Focusing on the failures, basically saying, hey, we failed a lot, not learning from them, but why are we failing? We don't want to continue with this. Lack of leadership commitment, or what I like to call innovation as PR. Basically, leaders saying, we want to do innovation without understanding that they need to put resources, funding, and the backing behind this. Ignoring market trends, and I bring you back to the logos or brands that we saw in the beginning, and lack of employee involvement. Eventually, everything that you're trying to do would need to be integrated as part of the business units of the organization. And if it doesn't happen, nothing will move forward. So companies tend to fail where they don't know how to combine or to bring their employees to work together with this innovation process. Bring them on board, all of this. And eventually, when we're talking about innovation, either external or internal, we're talking about 3 layers. We need to set the right process, the right team, and the right mindset. And all of them need to work together. If something is lacking, it won't work. And this is like a specific, I would say, you can basically address each and every one of these topics for a workshop of a whole day. But this is basically the 3 pillars that you need to work upon and make sure that you have them within your organization in order to make sure that you can move along with innovation. Now let's talk a little bit about how the process itself looks like when we work with external parties. Basically, we can run it down to 3 phases. The internal assessment, evaluating core activities, exploring external innovation, or basically the scouting phase of looking outside of the company to find these technologies, and the onboarding process itself. And again, each and every process here is a presentation by itself. But the most interesting part, when you ask companies, where do you think you fail along this process? Most of them point to phase 3, the onboarding. They say, we did the evaluation and the scouting well, but something went wrong along the process. And what I usually show them is that they fail in phase 1 or phase 2, and probably didn't do it in the right way. So let's talk a little bit about that. When we're talking about the phase 1 of internal innovation or evaluation of what the core elements look like, we're basically talking about this cycle. Identifying relevant teams, having open discussions with them, breaking down the process, understanding what exactly is the flow and the problem, not as a high-level statement, we have something wrong with procurement, we have something wrong with the sales, but really understanding what is going wrong, identifying exactly the pain points, and prioritizing and shortlisting what we want to address. And the identification of the pain point is the most critical element. Why? Because companies and people tend to confuse what they want with what they need. Okay, and I'll give you a very good example of why this is happening. Basically, I can take you to the statement of Henry Ford, who said, if I asked my customers what are they looking for, they would say faster horses. It's basically not understanding that you're looking for a new way of communication, of getting from one point to the other in a faster way, but kind of taking what you're already having and making it better, which is product enhancement and not really necessarily change. And this is a great example. When I started working with Stanley Black & Decker, one of my first projects was with this team who developed the table saw. And I came to them and said, what are you looking for? What are your challenges? And they said basically, oh, we need better blades, better materials, better batteries. And I said, great. Everything that you're talking about is on the product side. But what are you really trying to solve? And we had a back and forth discussion, and eventually we came to a point of understanding that what they're trying to solve is making the end worker's life in the job site more efficient. He's working on the table saw, and you want to we want to turn his working process to be more efficient. And what we found out is that 85% of the time that he's working on the table saw, he's not doing cutting, he's doing measurement. And I came back to them and said, look what you did. You basically focused on the 15% that doesn't matter to the end worker. Because if we took everything you said and we would find the better batteries, better materials, better blades, and turn our product to be even twice as better, we would come to the end customer and say, hey, we kind of like came with a better solution for you. He would use it and he said, yeah, it's a bit better, but it's the same. It doesn't change anything because his focus is on the measurement side. And this understanding enabled us to introduce what you can see in the middle, which is the Tiger Stop solution, which basically enables you to do automated measurements and focusing really on how to make that more efficient. So understanding the core of what is the need of the customer is the basics of this. And this aligns perfectly with what Peter Drucker said, that the customer rarely buys what the business thinks it sells. Now, when you understand this, and there's a real rigorous process behind it of how to do it in a proper way, which we can address later, or you can reach out to me later. The next phase of looking outside looks much easier because then you're not focusing on scouting for startups and solutions. You are looking for technology that solves it, or rather, you're not looking for the coin under the lantern. As an example, if I'm in construction and looking for the best AI technology out there, usually the regular scouting would be going and looking for the best AI technology within the construction landscape. And this enables you to understand, first of all, if AI is the right approach, and then going out and bringing technologies from Homeland Security, Industry 4.0, other sectors basically, and onboarding them to what you're trying to solve because you're focusing on the technological element you're trying to solve. And how you do so is basically by running through these steps. You start from competitive landscape or what your competitors are basically doing, emerging trends and opportunities in other sectors and not only your sector. Usually a lot of scouts and innovation managers focus only on their sector that they're operating in. Know-how from other verticals, like I explained before, basically taking a mature solution that is run in other sectors. And most of the sectors that are going through this digital transformation would have relevant solutions in the same way that you can then
Sorry to
utilize.
interrupt you, sir.
Yes.
I would like to request you to end the session here because next speaker is waiting.
Okay. I don't have much more. 5 minutes.
Okay, okay.
Perfect.
Okay.
We are good to go.
Okay, okay.
You can wrap it up.
Okay, okay.
Okay. And basically, when you do the onboarding process, it's very simple. We talked about the need assessment. I'll run through that, the scouting, the evaluation, and co-creation and piloting. And eventually, you need to understand that evaluation or the POC phase or working with the startup is just a pre-qualification before a vending solution. So you're not replacing the vendor or the vending process. You're basically pre-qualifying it. And unfortunately, we don't have the time to go through all this tips that I added, but I will run through them very, very fast. And it's important to understand that eventually it's all about managing the expectations and having the relations between people in a proper way and understanding that this eventually relationships are built between people and not organizations. So it's all about getting started, getting to know your core, focusing on pain points, small projects, small budgets, small wins, learning from other sectors. Driving to action is persistence and perseverance, rattling, disrupting yourself, not being content with the status quo, and basically testing, learning, and improving. That's the whole basics of innovation. Trying, understanding what works and what doesn't, and move and adjust along the way. Thank you.
That was very thought-provoking session, sir. Moving on to our next session. Please welcome Lakshmi joining us from USA for the session, Your First Data Job, What No One Tells You.
Thank you so much, Freya. Just give me 1 second. Yep, let me know if you see my screen.
Yes, ma'am. Your screen is visible.
Perfect. Just a second. Let me get started. Perfect. Hey, everyone. Quick congratulations for the first anniversary to the Uttar Pradesh Power BI Club. And I just go to get started. Perfect. So when I started my first data job, I genuinely thought that this is what my day would look like. Like I imagined I would have clean data sets, I'll have well-defined questions, and then me calmly building dashboards that provide decisions. But then what happened is, in reality, I spent a lot of time not just building dashboards, but asking questions. Where is the data? Which data are we using? From which time period are we using the data? Why doesn't this number match with the other report? And my favorite, what does this metric even mean? So basically, my job felt more less like data analysis and more like detective work. This exactly is why I want to share a few things with you today. Whether you're starting out in data, you're in college, or already working in your first role. So this session is going to be very non-technical, a very honest conversation about what really matters in your first data job. So the mindset, what the learnings are, and basically the things we don't talk about enough. So let's find out and talk about what your first data job actually looks like and how you can navigate it with confidence. Before we start, quick introduction about me. My name is Santana Lakshmi. I am one of the Power BI Data World Championship finalists. Really proud about that. Also, a Microsoft certified Power BI data analyst. If you have any questions about the PL 300 examination, please feel free to reach out to me via LinkedIn. I'm also a Microsoft MVP in the data platform category, specialized in Power BI. And Power BI data visualization are two very favorite topics of mine. I also write a couple of technical blogs on Medium, lots of tips and tricks that you might not find somewhere else. If you want to connect with me, scan the QR code. You'll find the links to my portfolio, to my LinkedIn, and any other way you could connect with me. On a professional note, I'm a data analyst at Missouri University of Science and Technology. And on a personal note, I'm a dog mom. So that's my dog, Casper. We love going on adventures, big foodies, both of us. Apart from this, I'm a huge advocate of diversity and inclusion. Without further ado, let's get into the session. Let's try something quick. And I want all of you to have your comment box, chat box ready. Want all of you to answer these questions. Don't overthink it. Just go with your instinct, whatever comes in your mind first. Okay. So what I want you to do is type in the comment in the chat and let me know what do you think comes next here. So you see a red circle, you see a blue square, you see a red triangle, and then what do you think might come there? Don't think too much, just put in your answers and don't worry whether it's right or wrong, doesn't matter. Give you a minute for that. Perfect. So I'm not able to see the chat right now, but the previous session when I did this, these were a couple of answers that I got. First one was any blue shape, right? I mean, very, very common. And then I got the answer as a blue rectangle because you see the basic shapes circle, square, and triangle. The next missing was rectangle. And then there was someone who said repeating the same pattern with just the opposite colors. And there were even people who said the question is wrong or no information was given. So if you see, some people here focused on the colors, so basically any blue shape. Some of them focus on the shapes. So you see how people said it could be a blue rectangle. And then some try to track both the colors as well as the shape. So what's interesting is none of these answers are wrong. They are best just based on different perceptions, different assumptions. So what I'm trying to tell you is the puzzle did not change, only our perspective did. That brings us to our next slide. What we observed from the previous slide is the sequence was same, the logics were different. The problem was same, but the brains were different. When we relate this to your first job, this is what you will learn. That being different doesn't mean that you are wrong. If you get a feedback, doesn't mean you are a failure. Always reasoning out your answers is better than the answer itself. Ask questions early. Like I said, there were a lot of people who said that's a wrong question. There's no proper instruction given. So ask questions early. Clarity wins. If you are clear why you chose your answer, you are already a winner. And my most important and favorite is your perspective matters. So what you see on the slide is not just a puzzle or a job thing. This is just a life lesson, or you can say like a life thing. Always remember that it is not about finding the right answer. It's about respecting different ways of thinking. So next time when you see someone solving a problem differently, always remember that the answer can still be right. And that's a beautiful life lesson, a lesson for both life as well as work. Perfect. I hope you liked this small activity. And now let's actually dive into the session. I'm going to share four of my major learnings that I learned during my first job, and I just hope like some of you could resonate and relate to it. The first learning that I learned is you are hired to learn, not to know everything. So this is one of the biggest myths in our first data job, that you are supposed to know everything. That's not possible, right? You are hired to learn. You cannot be a walking stack overflow. If that happened, none of us would have jobs, right? Everyone Googles. Juniors Google, seniors Google, everyone Googles. It's just that seniors know how to Google better. Asking questions is not a weakness in data work, because that's literally how good analysis happens, right? It's part of a job. So the biggest takeaway here is ask early so you don't go far in the wrong direction. Ask clearly so that you know everyone is aligned. And then please ask without apologizing. Do not think that if you're going to ask a question, you're going to waste someone's time. You're just saving time. So always keep this in mind, that you are hired to learn. No one expects you to know everything from the start. The second lesson is most of your work is communication. It's not just analysis. This part usually surprises the beginners, because we think our job is just writing SQL, DAX, or building beautiful dashboards. But a huge part of a job is explaining what the data actually means. And the best analysis in the world is useless if no one understands it, right? Also, you need to know that the stakeholders or your clients may not speak data language. They do not wake up thinking, wow, I'm going to see some DAX magic today, right? All they want is answer to their questions. And yes, you can build the most beautiful dashboard you're proud of, and there will always be someone who will ask you to export it in Excel. So explaining insights clearly is very, very important rather than building fancy visuals. Quick takeaway is clear communication is a career superpower, no matter what career path you choose. Your real power is being able to say, here is your question, here is your answer, here is what it means for you. This skill, trust me, will take you much further than any single tool. Number three, you'll make mistakes, and that's okay. Let me clearly tell you this, that you will make mistakes, no matter you're a beginner, you're a junior, you're a senior. If you haven't done any mistake till now, don't worry, your turn is coming. Common first job mistakes in the data analytics path is we might use wrong filters. We might misunderstand some metrics, or my favorite, we will build something so beautiful for a question no one actually asked. So early in your career, it is very important for you to understand that mistakes are not a sign that you're bad at your job. It's just that you're trying and you're learning. What really matters is not the mistake, it's what you do next. So make sure you own your mistake, fix your mistake, and learn from it. Mistakes, trust me, will not end up your careers, but if you ignore their mistakes, it might. So be very honest, take responsibility of what you've done. That builds trust faster. That's really important. And also keep in mind that every confident data professional that you see, that you talk, that you admire, they have made these mistakes in their past too, and they've learned something out of it. Next, imposter syndrome. So let's talk about imposter syndrome. I would say that it's basically something that comes up free with your first job. And what happens in imposter syndrome is basically everyone around you looks more confident. Trust me, they are not. Like you might feel that some of them are speaking so fast, some of them are using big words, and they're far better than me. No, it's not the case. Comparing yourself to seniors is also wrong. Do not do that. Do not compare yourself with seniors or your colleagues, because that is very similar to comparing your first day at a gym to someone who's been going to the gym for 10 years. It might be the same building, the same gym, but both of you are in a very different stage, right? So keep that in mind. Next, growth in the data field is very sneaky, in the sense it might feel very slow every day. But one day, trust me, you will realize how far you've come. So do not think that you're going to get your first job and then you're going to get a promotion and then you're just going to go up and up. It will happen, but it's going to be a little slow. Quick takeaway from this slide, I want you to keep this in mind is whenever your brain says, I do not belong here, try to modify it. Try to tell your brain that do not think that way. Think that you are still learning. Also, every moment you feel that you are unsure, say you got a new job, you're in a team and you're like, oh my God, I do not deserve to be in a job. Make sure you keep this in mind that feeling unsure doesn't mean you do not belong. It's okay. I mean, that's very common to everyone to happen, but make sure that you also modify it and think that I'm still learning. It's okay. I will try, I will learn, and I will fit in. So this is very important for all the beginners out there. Now, let's talk about what will help you succeed. So these are some couple of practical advices from my side. First is always be curious. Don't try to be perfect. If you are new to a job, be curious to know what the team is, who are your team members, what do they do, how is your job relevant to them. So try to be curious. Don't try to be perfect. Next, ask why before how. Someone comes and tells you, do so and so task. First, give it a thought. Ask yourself, why do I need to do it? Is it worth doing it? Or is there any alternate I can suggest? So keep that in mind. Next, focus on being reliable and not perfect. Like I said, if you make a mistake, own it, fix it, and learn it. That makes you more reliable. Don't try to be perfect. Don't try to think that you're not going to make mistakes ever. Next, small, consistent actions matter. I'm so sorry for the typo there. But like I said, once you get a new job, do not think you're going to get an immediate promotion and then you're going to get promoted, you're going to get hikes. That will happen. For that, you need to keep putting small, consistent actions and efforts. And these do matter. Next, a quote that I always keep in mind is you do not need to be the smartest person in the room. Don't be the silent, confused one. So, when I look back at my first job, the things that helped me were not creating fancy dashboards or knowing every DAX formula. It was very small habits like asking questions when I wasn't sure what's happening, taking notes, like literally writing down notes, checking how my work is actually being used. And also, something very important is finding someone safe, a mentor to go to when you need advice. So, early in your career, like I always say, reliability will beat perfection every time. You might think that I need to wow everyone, I need to impress everyone. But really, when you show up, when you ask smart questions and show that you are dependable, that will get you more further than you realize. A quick funny story that I would like to add is I once spent like hours and days perfecting a dashboard, making it beautiful, adding all the DAX magic that I knew, only to realize that the team just wanted a table. No one really wanted the dashboard. So if I focused on the fundamentals, if I had all these ideas in mind, I would have basically saved time. So keep in mind that focus on the fundamentals. They are the things that will stick from your beginner journey till the end. And quick I would say a quick note is your first job is going to be about laying a foundation. It's not going to be about titles. Like I said, when I started my first job, I was obsessed with making things look impressive because I'm a Power BI person, right? So I want like my dashboard should be the best. The dashboard would make me look smarter. But what really mattered was understanding what's happening. How is the team working together? Is this actually what the end client wants? Sometimes what I feel is spending time to learn the context, learn how your meetings work or how your data is used, and build small habits that will last your career. Quick example like documenting your work. Whenever you do something, document it. Checking your assumptions. Say you have data with you and you are trying to assume something, don't do that. Check it. Think about your ethics, your work ethics. So these are some, I would say, invisible skills that will make you a real data professional. So remember, you as a first data job as a beginner, don't be in a rush. Early in your career, it is absolutely okay to focus on learning well, not showing off. One more thing you have to remember is your growth will compound over time. It will take some time. You have to be patient. So it's very similar. I'll give you like a quick comparison. Say you are trying to build a skyscraper. You need to have a solid foundation first. You cannot start with a penthouse, right? You need to start with the base, have a solid foundation, and then work your way to the penthouse. So this is something that I really wanted to share with all of you, that your first job is about foundations, it's not about titles. And I think I am good with that. With that being said, thank you so much for being a part of this session. I really hope that it gave you some clarity, some reassurance, and maybe a few laughs. Before you go, I'd like to hear your feedback, good, bad, funny stories, anything that works. You can scan the QR code, it'll take a couple of seconds. And these feedback really helped me to make these sessions better. And also, I would love to answer any questions you might have. And thank you so much. Thank you, Shreya, for moderating as well.
Thank you so much, Lakshmi. This session resonates with so many early and mid career professionals. I really appreciate this talk. And that being said, if anyone wants to join us on stage with two or more few questions, we are good to go. Just raise your hand so that we can assign you the mic.
I think there is a question from Dhruv. Uh,
Yes, Anjali, you can also continue.
Hello, ma'am.
Okay, good evening, ma'am. Ma'am, I want to ask you the questions that how does social media contribute to imposter syndrome?
how people use for it. If you're a beginner, you go to LinkedIn, you're open. How I'm good and they go to compare your if you're with you take your time. Go ahead. Who do you ask questions?
Okay, I would appreciate Lakshmi if you can answer these questions in the chat itself then, if you're not able to cover them on the mic. Okay, so thank you so much, Lakshmi, for this insightful session. I really appreciate your time and these insights. To take this summit forward, I welcome Kasper Kalfas joining us from Poland, talking with your health data, building a personal biohacking platform in Python for this session. Let's welcome him.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. So now can you see me?
Yes, perfect, good to go.
Wait a moment, wait a moment. I just want to just open my presentation. Okay. I want to share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, nice. So, can we start?
Okay, so just I would like to mention you are sharing your whole screen, so you need to remove the upside, maybe that above one, and just
This
present
one?
the yeah.
It's like
Okay,
this?
perfect. Good to go now.
Okay. So, can you make me live?
Yeah, we are good to go.
Okay. Hello, guys. Good evening, guys. My name is Kasper Kalfas, and today I would like to show you how to build personal biohacking data platform. So stay tuned and please entertain a little bit about that. Today we will talk about business aim of the data. Then we can talk about data ingestion, and then we can choose the proper technology. Fourthly, we can design data platform architecture, do some kind of the data engineering stuff, and then provide the business value. So let me start. Let me share with you my story. It is one part. This is a story about how to build the proper data platform, and secondly, how to start with the biohacking. So this is like one presentation, but two stories. First of all, I need to start who is a biohacker. Biohacker is a person who use data technology and other lifestyles, experiments to enhance health. So you can think about better sleep, better eating schedules, and also use some wearable IoT devices. So who I'm not? I'm not a professional biohacker. I'm not a big sportsman. Last time I was 8 years ago at the gym. So who I am? I'm Kasper Kalfas. I love data in the cloud. So I am a senior cloud architect at company in Poland, Software Mind, who just literally works with those platforms and who put data into the cloud, hoping it makes me healthier. And guess what? It helped me. So, first of all, I set up my business aim. So, my business aim, it was use cloud-based data to improve my health. So how I started? I started step by step. I invested in a comfortable chair. Then I bought some kind of the uh, blue 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 screen protected glasses. Also, I invest something on the pills and the vitamins, and I started to read how to make me healthier. Then I invested on the devices that produce data. First of all, I invested in the smartwatch that monitored my heart rate, stress level, sleep quality, and the blood oxygen. Then I, in my MacBook, I install some kind of the correlation, something that merge me my screen time from my iPhone and from my MacBook, and also I bought a I bought the smart scale where I can measure my body weight and other important and crucial parameters. So then I started to install some crucial app on my phone. So this is my application that I've installed. First is my fitness pal, Apple Health, my fitness from Xiaomi, and water meter. My Fitness Pal, it is application where you can track everything that you eat. You can just literally take the photo of your food, and it can calculate how much fat it contains, how much protein it contains. It's really helpful when you want to stay fit. And the best thing that everything is saved in the cloud, so you can easily export it. Then water meter is an application that push you some kind of the notification that you need to drink a water. It is important to stay hydrated, yes, and also it contains the water, water percentage in the liquid. So, for example, in the tea, you have 90% of the water or something like that. So this is the water compose, yes. So this application really helps me, and after that, I started using it. I realized how less water I used to drink. So it really makes me healthier, believe me. And also you can add your favorite drink. So for example, in Poland, we have the famous in the summertime we make the compote. So this is like the it is something it is like the something essence. This is the essence from the boiled fruit, like the apple or pear. So I put it here. Then my fitness, this is the application for my smartwatch, Xiaomi. And Apple Health. Apple Health is really good for the aggregated data. So it's a one app that from that app I have a stream. So later I will show you on my diagram. And when I have those equipments
new application, new devices, and also new approach to my life, new ideas were born in my mind. I thought that it perhaps make me healthier. So I need to start ingest data. For the data, I started to use Health Auto Export. Health Auto Export is a really awesome stuff that I can export data from my Apple Health to your cloud. In my case, it was a Google Drive, but you can also use iCloud Drive, Dropbox, MQTT, other stuff. Yes. So and it save you into CSV or JSON file, and it's a 100% of the privacy and secure. No account. So this is really good stuff that just only, and it works like a incremental and full refresh also. Other case, in the Mac, I set up the special libraries there, so I can download time screen to my data lake. So it was the other fact that I did when I ingest the data. So the easiest way to explain this, it's my diagram. So on my diagram, so in my the diagram, one is a time screen. So I have here a daily batch script, and then I have a water meter, my fitness pal, and smartwatch and smart scale. Then everything is here. Everything is here. Then it's a time to choose proper technology. So, the big data landscape is really, really huge. Right now, we have a lot of things that we can use with the data. This is a screen from 2024. So it was almost 2 years ago. But imagine, right now, it's more, even more. So also Azure give us also opportunities. Right now we have also Fabric, Microsoft Fabric. So Databricks, CQL, Azure Data Factory, Stream Analytics, Cosmos DB. We have a lot of things that we can put our data. And this is really crucial to think about the technology. Yes, because we don't want to have a technical debt. It's a really, really bad place to have a technical debt. So we need to think about technology that has a big usage on the market, and also there will be easy to find other specialists that knows it. And we need to know that technology has a big, big community, because we can share our thoughts and our question with the others. Other thing is to remember with the data world, we need to remember about OLTP and OLAP. So this is the understanding of the databases. OLTP is a transactional, so it's basically in the application world, and OLAP is for the data warehouses. Yes, so it's analytic databases. So this is a crucial fundamentals about the data processing. So I decided to build data lakehouse because I will build OLAP database. So I decided to build data lakehouse. And so what is data lakehouse? It's a structure and semi-structured and unstructured data in the cloud. So in one place, we have a data, structure, unstructured, and semi-structure, and we can do some kind of the data analysis. I choose Azure Databricks. Why Azure Databricks? Right now, it's the most popular platform. With also it's really comfortable. It's you can connect also with Microsoft Fabric, but for this exercise I use it Databricks, and Databricks has a layers. First layers is like the cloud data lake. Then on that data lake, you can build the delta format, and delta format it's like the acid analytics database based on the Parquet, but literally you build data format. Thanks to that, you can have a transaction and acid. Then you can build some kind of the governance using the Unity catalog. So it provides the governance layer on top of your catalogs. You can put some kind of the compliance and security. Yes, and you can do data analyzing, data streaming, data engineering, AI machine learning, something like that. So it's really popular in the Azure. But when you choose the Databricks, it's mostly for the big project. For the smaller project, Microsoft Fabric is really cool. Okay, then important thing is a medallion architecture. So medallion architecture is you divide your analytics data for the bronze, so it's a raw ingestion. Silver, it's filtered, cleaned, and augmented data, and business level aggregates. Yes, so those three layers. Right now we have some kind of the separation. And here's the implementation in the Databricks. You can see on the first task, you have a bronze, then silver and gold. And obviously inside of that, you have logic. And as you see, you have some tables on the bronze layer, and silver layer is some kind, in my opinion, it's some kind of the, it's some kind of the battlefield where you can literally work with your data. You can play with your data. You can experiment with your data to build the best gold layer. And gold layer is a nicely prepared data. First of all, really nicely data that is really nice to query. So you have some views on the top of that, yes, and it's easy to use in the Power BI reporting and even data science. Okay, so we talk about our data business, data ingestion. We choose the technology. Our technology is Databricks, and then we can start to do some kind of the data engineering. So when you're thinking about the data engineering, you need to focus on building ETL. So I started from this diagram. So I go to the E, so it means extraction. So I put the ticks on those fields. So imagine extraction, extract method, push, okay, or pull. Then extract types, full extraction, incremental extraction. Then file parsing, database querying, manual data extraction, something like that. And the same with the transformation. When I thinking about the transformation, data enrichment, remove duplicates, something like that, data filtering. So here is the other thing, transformation, and the same with the load of data. So this diagram is really really important for me. So I start my building my data pipelines from that. This is my fundamentals, foundation. Sorry for that. Then I started to I will go to, I going to build a bronze layer. So I need to know about the source system. I need to know about the business. So then I can do some kind of the data ingestion because I know from where I can ingest the data. And then I can start some kind of the little bit validating that, putting it into the schemas. Important to have in the bronze layer the schemas, because it is really good to have it in the schemas, not just raw data. And important, always be focused on documentation and code versioning. Then you need to do some kind of the data discovery. For example, this is my raw data. You can see here you have a date, active energy, protein, carbohydrates, fiber, sugar. This is something that I've absorbed during day. So you need to research that data. You need to know what is inside. And this is how looks my bronze layer. It is a free tables. First table is bronze metric, second is bronze time screen, and third is a bronze stress. So it comes from the what I've eaten or something like that. Okay, next is you need to build a silver layer. So as I said, it's a battlefield, and here you can do some kind of the analysis. You can explore and understand the data, then do some coding, validating it, and document it. And this is how my silver layer looks like in that project. It's right now, it's much more easier to understand. So silver stress, it comes from the stress level during the day. Silver silver sleep, sorry. It's something that relates to my sleep level, activity for the activity, nutrition, something about the ingredients in my food, then screen time, how much time I spend in front of the laptop and iPhone, and then health vitals. So it is about my workout, yes. And finally, you need to build a gold layer for your business. You need to explore to provide the business value. So here is my business value. So I have a day, and around that day, I build a star schema. So right now I have a dimension. Dimension is a stress, dimension is a sleep, dimension is a screen time, nutrition, body composition, and dimension. This is a activity. And then next step is to design the data platform architecture. So I have a raw data, I have a bronze layer, silver, and gold layer. As you see, I use a full load, truncate, and insert in the bronze and batch processing. When in the silver, I do the same when the load, but transformation is a data cleaning, data standardization, data normalization, and data enrichment. And in the gold, I use the views to display gold layer. I use the views. I do some kind of the aggregation, business logic, and and data integration. Okay, so this is my full architecture of the solution. So as you see, this is something that I explain you in the data ingestion, so I will not duplicate it, but I provide it bronze task, silver task, and gold task in the one job. And then I would like to provide the business value in the Databricks AI BI tool Genie. So literally speaking, it's a talk with your data, something like that. And you can, as I said, this is the step to provide the business value. So what is the business value in the IT words? It's some kind of the statistic that you put a frame and you announce it in to the people. Yes. To audience. And who's your audience? Your business or yourself. Yes. This is something. This is something that you need to also build some kind of the storytelling about your solution. You need to sell your solution. And here is a talk to data in Databricks. This is a natural language query. So literally you write in the English and you have the response base of your table. And it provides a data democratization or something like that. So imagine in your organization, you can give this tool to other people and share the catalog with them. So you can share your catalog, your data catalog to the other department, and then they can easily query data, and you not pay for that because they use their own Databricks workspace. When we're talking about the big organization, that you have a lot of Databricks workspaces. Yes, and this is the something more about the Genie. So you can do some kind of the conversation with your data. And yes, Databricks Genie unlock the power of my gold layer, because it's easy to talk with gold layer than with the bronze layer, because gold layer is nicely prepared for Genie. And thanks that I have a faster queries, I understand the data domains, and you don't need any SQL required. So imagine your business, they can use they can query data without the thinking about the SQL. But first of all, you need to provide some kind of the pre-prompt or initial prompt. So I wrote about the core schema, relationship between the tables, and also expected behavior, and preferred output, and some examples. This is not highly required. Genie will work without that, but for the good practice, I wrote it there. Here is some kind of the real world use cases for biohacking and analytics. So in my use case, you can ask about the stress level, activity, nutrition, productivity versus entertainment, water and energy, and average sleep. So here is a first example. I asked the Genie about the explain me data set. And Genie nicely explain us this. Okay. Next demo is about comparing stress and sleep level. So show me average stress level and total sleep hours per week in the September 2025. And it's thinking a lot. Yes, and here is a average stress level and total sleep hours during the week. Then is a comparison between activity and stress. Can maybe. So I have a day, date, day, and here is my activity, and here is the stress level. Yes. Okay, and this is really interesting. This is a prompt for compare my average sleep stress and screen time on the weekdays and weekends. And the final solution is a and look, it shows me that my average sleep hours during the week and is less. Like I mean, literally, I sleep more on weekdays than weekends. Okay, this is also about the water and how to connect it with the LLM. You can easily connect it with the LLM with GPT or something like that. Those line of codes will help you. If you want, I can send you my code through the LinkedIn or something like that, or whole repository. Just write me. And more. This is the summary, how to build the data platform. So first of all, set your business aim, then do some kind of the data ingestion, choose proper technology, design data platform and architecture, do some data engineering and provide the business value. This is the 6 steps that you need to remember when you build data platform. And final thought, I uploaded the data to the cloud hoping it would make me healthier. And it helped me. I drink more water. No more late night work. I pay attention what I eat. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much, guys. This is me on LinkedIn. If you want, you can send me the invitation. I will accept you as soon as possible, and you can share the feedback from my session. This is really important. What I need to change here, or maybe it was a really, really good presentation for you. You can also join this website with the Data Leadership World Summit, and you can apply it for some kind of the skills showcase and also certification. Okay, so it's all from my side right now. It's a time for your question. Feel free to ask. I would like to ask you as much as possible.
Good evening, sir. I want to ask you that what matters more in practices, platform unifications or flexibility when aiming for long-term business value?
Okay, this is about this. Thank you for your question. This is about the scale, yes. Uh, when we're thinking about small project that I showed you here, unification is crucial. Yes, you have everything in one place, but also Databricks give us the flexibility to have the workspaces around the data data teams. So imagine each data teams they have their own workflows, workspace workflows, and they have access to the special data set, and they can request for that data set. So unification in the Databricks brings us also flexibility because you can do some kind of the data. You can sign up for the data contracts. Databricks gives us also the marketplace for the data sets externally and internally. So I think the both things it's really crucial. You need to unify. You need to have a. You need to maybe analytics data is good to have in one place in the cloud, and cloud give you this flexibility to play with the data, to democratize that data. I hope I answer you. Thank you for your question.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you for the fantastic insight and hands-on demo. So
Yes, yes.
now it's time for the fun along with session in Town Hall by Prem Kumar Kora. Another session, data-driven quality transformation. AI implementation for predictive business intelligence in breakout by Srilekha and quiz in the third breakout. We will be giving 10 random passes for upcoming Data Leadership Summit 2.0 in Town Hall and breakout during both speaker sessions. Now let's welcome Prem Kumar Kora joining us from India talking with your health data building a personal biohacking platform in so your voice is not audible.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Good evening. It's late evening. Wish you happy new year to everybody in the group. My name is Prem Kumar Kora. Um, um, I'm a principal data scientist and an author and a PMP certified. I have 20 years of experience, including 6 years of deep specialization in AI engineering. So I'm going to talk about why you need to go beyond AI agents to agentic AI and then get into second. Hello? Hello? Yes. So I don't know why maybe it's not there. Okay.
Your screen is visible, but not the actual slide.
Not sure why.
Yeah, it's working then.
Okay. Can you see my screen now? Can you see my screen now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. 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 So let us jump into the topic. Um, I wanted to start with the basic ML and DL, but due to lack of time, I'm going to start with what a GPT is. GPT is nothing more than uh, taking a child and teaching the child how to speak a particular language. Here we took English and we started teaching that language to a system. So that is what you call GPT in a high level. Don't take it in a very technical way. In a high level. So generative is it doesn't. So first thing is like we have to look at what is pre-trained. Pre-trained is the model read the entire internet to learn the patterns of human language, and it understands or it doesn't understand. It takes the mathematical values of the words that we speak in the sentence. And the transformer is a specific architecture which is which is a form of deep learning that uses self-attention to understand which words in a sentence are most important to the meaning. It is not nothing more than probability and statistics. So it takes the probability of the next word that it should display in that whole sentence. That is what transformer does. And generative is it doesn't just look up answers. It creates them by predicting the most likely next word at the time. So this is what a GPT is, a transformer is. It is a form of a deep learning mm, algorithm. So we'll go to the next slide. So for example, let us say like we give to any GPT, let us say we give the capital of India is. So it looks at two words. One is capital, the other is India. So it takes these two words, and what it does is it starts looking for the words which have high probability on which it has to generate. So let us say like it looks at London, it looks at bread, and it looks at Delhi. The high probability is Delhi, which is 99.9% probability, and it generates the output as Delhi. So basically what it does is it predicts the next word in the sentence, but it also takes into account what it has already have in the sentence. So that is what a GPT does. Okay. So let us get into AI agents. So AI agents are nothing but a specific form of GPT. Basically, GPTs are trained to trained up till a certain time limit. For example, GPT 5.0 is trained up till like September. So the information that it has is up till September. So and AI agents are nothing more than a GPT, but what we do is we ask the particular LLM to act in a specific way by giving it a context. That is what you call an AI agent. Okay. So what we say is like, for example, let us say like I'm into ChatGPT or Gemini. So what I do is I give it as a context. Okay, I am a second standard student or a second grade student. I want you to teach me second grade mathematics. So what it does is it transforms itself into a second grade teacher and it starts teaching you. So this is what we do using an AI agent. Okay. So, and the information that is given out is predicted based on the context that you have given. Okay. Okay. So, let us say we have an LLM and we have a AI agent. In LLM, we consider an LLM as a consultant, know all kind of a consultant. Whatever you ask, it is going to either give you answers based on the training that it has taken, or it is going to summarize based on the hallucination that it has. But what I'm going to do as an AI agent is I'm going to give it a context and tell it based on this context, you please tell me, like you explain me these concepts. So it goes to an iterative loop and get you the answers based on what you need to know. So this is an AI agent. Okay. So next, so I'm going to now pause here and explain you like what can we do with a lang chain and lang graph, and what is a lang chain and what is a lang graph. Lang chain and lang graph are two ways of making sure like we get what we wanted to get from the LLM. Okay. So for now, we know like AI agent is a worker. So in the previous slide, I explained an AI agent is a worker, meaning like I'm giving it a context, and for that context is going to give you an output. But I cannot have only one worker. For example, I have an office. In a particular office, like I will have to have somebody who knows accounts, somebody who knows digital marketing, somebody who knows um, um, how to do marketing. Okay. For this specific task, I'm going to assign different LLMs to act in a different way. Okay. For that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that I'm going to give context to these different LLMs in such a way that they act in a different way. Okay. And for that, I am also going to give them an external knowledge. For example, I'm using LangChain. LangChain is a horizontal workflow where what I'm going to do is, for example, in this example, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a lang chain, and this lang chain is going to take the data from um, a vector database or from a vector database, and it is going to give me a data which is specific to this company. So and then based on that data, I'm going to go to the next AI agent, which is in the cycle or which is in the workflow, which is going to take that data and probably go and get information about whatever I have collected in the previous session um, in a detailed way from the internet. So I give access for it to go and work autonomously to get the data from the internet, and finally it is going to give me an output which is going to be which is going to be in the chain, which means like it's going to be in a workflow. So far, like am I clear to some extent? Let me see the screen so that I understand like I don't have any questions as of now. So let me proceed with this with the presentation. So this is how a chain works in the system. Okay. So now, but in the process of lang chain, what happens is there is no verification of whether the output that is generated by the previous LLM is correct or not. So it becomes very difficult. There is no iteration in the lang chain. So that is where lang graph comes into play. So that's what I call it as cycles. So in cycles, what happens is you stop thinking in chains and start thinking in graphs. Basically, what happens is, let us say we have a model and we want to make sure whatever the information that we got, like from the previous example, I ask a question, it goes to a LLM model. In the LLM model, what happens? It goes to a vector database and gets all the required information, and then it comes out and it gives it to the next next LLM. This LLM goes out and fetches like 10 or 20 data points from internet, but I'm not sure like whether which data point is very correct or wrong. So what I am going to do is I'm going to have a critic LLM which is going to verify the data that is presented by the researcher LLM, and this iteration is going to go up till like the critic approves the data and the data comes out from the lang graph. So this is where the lang graph comes into play. And so this is about lang graph. So let us, and in the next slide, showing the slide. Okay, sorry. So in the next, slide, what I have done is I have given you 3 repos. One repo is cleaning, like taking a data or taking basically a data which is an unclean data, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean the data, and after I clean the data, I'm going to do a segmentation of the data. Okay, so that is one repo that I have given it here. The other repo is like job matcher, meaning like let us say like you wanted to apply for a job. What you do is you take the job description from the internet, and then you take from the job description, you post the job description, and you also upload the uh, 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 upload your resume, and then it will give you the match for your resume, how that JD matches with your resume, and also it will tell you like it will generate a resume, a cover letter, and also like the job description and all the details from the job description that you have pasted to the system. That way it creates a directory and a package for you. So these are the 3 repos that I have created for you. you can go and you can take a look at these three repos and uh, y- y- you can do experimentation on that. Okay, so let us go to the next slide. So this is my LinkedIn profile. Please connect with me, and if you have any questions on the repos, I'll be there to help you out to sort it out. And I will be happy to take any questions that you have.
Yeah, so good evening. So I want to ask you a question that what are the some common challenges when building agentic system with LangGraph?
See, the first challenge that most people miss is like you need to understand what is the data that is being presented to you. See, as a data scientist, you need to know what is the data that is presented to you and what do you do with the data and what is the outcome that is the what is the outcome that you want to get out of that project. These are the three things. Make sense?
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Any other questions, anybody? Try to get into the repo and try to download those repos and try to work on that. If you have any questions, feel free to send me questions in LinkedIn. I would be very happy to help you out.
Okay, sir, we will.
Okay. Um, okay. Okay. Anything else, madam?
So that was incredible info on a new technology.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Now, please welcome Claudia Safas, joining us from the United States for the session High Achiever, High Risk, Spotting Hidden